The media have called this story a whirlwind. Well, Murdoch is now reaping the whirlwind. The BBC said that all this broke on the sickening phone tap on Millie Dowler, the murdered teenager, whose mother was brought to believe that she was still alive even though she had been murdered. Because News of the World investigator, private detective Michael Muldaur, had hacked into her phone, deleted messages, thus allowing more messages to be sent. But the wider story is thus unravelled even more to members of the senior members of the royal family having their phones tapped and their whereabouts being informed through corrupt royal protection officers of the Metropolitan Police being paid to report on the whereabouts of the head of state. Thus, the head of state could have been in danger by this breach of security. Whatever your views on the monarchy or not, the head of state was in danger because of this. Also, the phone tapping went right to the highest levels of government. There was definitely a move by Murdoch organisation to investigate itself during the time of phone hacking. It's not quite certain about how this came about to happen, but certain private investigators in the mainstream media story view certainly had carte blanche to do whatever they wanted to unveil these stories. Now, it's the important factor in this is that in 1998 phone hacking was made illegal. It's thus a criminal offence to phone hack someone's phone, or delete messages, or listen in on private conversations. The police do use phone hacking, but only with the consent of a judge. Thus, it's only the security services are allowed to phone hack, and there are strict rules of engagement that they have to follow. We've all heard about the use by the FBI of phone hacking, and they have to stop listening in after so many minutes if the conversation is nothing to do with criminal activities. This is why criminals use code, and also why they record each other's conversations. Therefore, it's interesting to note that no one would go into a conversation in the News of the World or any other News Corp paper without recording what was said by whom for the individual's self-protection. The real story for me, apart from the sickening details of people who have been murdered and people such as the Soham murders whose phones were also hacked into the relatives of those poor girls who died, and also the victims of 7/7, which could have led to them being targeted by Al-Qaeda because of the infiltration of our security services by Al-Qaeda, and thus the using of corrupt police officers by News Corp could have led to those people being targeted, and thus their protection and their security could have been wasted, as Bin Laden said. He said, we would waste your security whilst as you waste ours. But these are all possibilities. I mean, it's on the edge of possibility, but it's still a possibility. But another disturbing possibility is to do with the election. Alistair Campbell said that he'd been warning, and this is the real story, since 2007. So this has been going on for over 5 years. Possibly before that there was phone hacking, but it came to the government's view, the Labour government's view and inspection during the election. Now, Murdoch is a Conservative. He's anti-EU. He didn't want people to go into he didn't want Labour to bring us into the EU during Tony Blair's term of office. And it's one of the key factors, I believe, that stopped us going into the euro. If we had gone into the euro would have had the financial power to divert us away from much of the harm of the financial crisis, because of the bringing together of the financial power of Britain with the export power of France, Germany and Italy, and also Spain, which is the world's largest food producer. Now, Murdock is against this. Why? Because for his own reasons, that he wants to be able to have a powerful media organisation that can direct and challenge governments to do what he's bidding. So was this a conspiracy? Well, certainly criminal activity took place. How high it goes, I'm not frightened of Murdock, by the way, but I'm not going to say it directly went to him. It could possibly go to him, but this would have to be seen to happen through factual things. I'm not going to tell lies. I'm only going to try and stick with the facts. The problem is that when you have an endemic culture of conspiratorial action, which and using people such as Mulcair, who's a private detective, but who is hacking into people's phones, an organised crime. You are in fact an organised criminal organisation, which is involved in a conspiracy that may even lead to right to the top. Okay, right to the top means that there was a political motivation for this phone hacking, which didn't just have something to do with stories, but also about the direction of government and how, as the Sun put it, we won it. You know, we was what won it. That is how they think of us, as knuckle-headed Neanderthals who will be compliant voters to whatever Murdoch says. The Sun what won it. Alistair Campbell said that it wasn't the Sun that won it, it was the Labour Party that lost it. But the problem is, when you have such a large media organisation which can expose even the details in a sickening way of people's medical records, such as Gordon Brown's son's illness, and also hack into a Prime Minister's phone. This was only ever done by criminal organisations in the past. I know I can think of a few, but I'm not going to say, for obvious reasons. But by organised crime, and intelligence agencies have often done this in the past in tapping into leaders' phones. But this is probably the first time a media organisation has been involved in such an organised crime as phone hacking, which has been illegal since 1998, as I stress that point. It has been illegal since 1998. Now, was this a conspiracy to unseat the Labour government? It could possibly have been so, but that would have to be proven in terms of factual analysis of the stories that were leaked, what was going on. We can certainly say that Gordon Brown's tax on financial transactions, of which Murdoch may have had a vested interest in stopping, since he is a billionaire worth $20 billion, may have had something to do with his leaking of certain facts that which were damaging to the Labour government. Now, people should have known about that, but on the other hand, would we be better off with a tax on financial transactions, which would have solved the deficit, the financial crisis in Europe, and possibly we would not be in recession at this moment? These are big things, and a media organisation deciding undemocratically for the rest of us, through phone hacking, through a conspiracy to subvert, in some cases, the course of justice, in the case of Millie Dowler and others. This should disturb us.